think some of the things that I really recognized right off the bat was
Yeah.
how quickly, with Boost Rentals, the customer service team was jumping in and responding to people's concerns, and that's huge.
When we started together, that was about November of 2023, I think. And I actually gave you a cold call at some
Yeah,
point and basically said, "Hey, I know you've got these properties about a block away. My property is a block away. These are the numbers we're doing. Are you doing anything close to that?" I think that was kind of my talk track. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you think your revenue was, even if you don't know exactly around that time period per home?
so your timing was good. You called me around that time. I was getting pretty frustrated. If I remember right, I think we had a couple of phone calls. And I
Yeah, we
do
did.
remember that one phone call in the fall. I was actually driving back from Florida when we were on the phone for quite a while. And I just kind of was frustrated enough that I kind of laid it all out there for you.
Yeah.
And, and your realization that my story was similar to what other people's were that you were hearing, and you had a solution for that. And so at the time, it felt like a big leap to make that change. Um,
Yeah.
in hindsight, I wish I'd done it way sooner.
In terms of revenue for the 2023 time period, even though I think the homes were smaller than most, they weren't, they didn't have a lot of the luxury items that a lot of our, competitors had in the area. We were able to still, really drive revenue for those particular homes. Is there anything else, from that time period that you can remember that I may not have mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think that something to keep in mind with those places, I believe they were Section 8 housing when I bought.
Yeah.
So I bought the first one initially, and when I bought the other two, we did have a tenant in one of them, and to be honest, I wasn't really excited about having to deal with that. Um,
Yeah.
and But part of my contract when I bought them was that she had already was planning to move out, and so they were all going to be vacant, which was important to me because I wanted to go in and tear down a wall and do some rehab stuff.
Yeah.
And Another factor too is that I knew from the beginning that the location there was outstanding.
Yeah.
Proximity to
Definitely.
downtown Nashville was just so good, and it was like this up and coming neighborhood that
Yeah.
10 years ago would have been a whole different story.
Yeah.
And now we were willing to make that change, that take that risk there, and the whole neighborhood has completely changed.
Yeah.
And I
It's
know
good news.
that you were involved with too. That you had property up the street, and I'm sure you were
Yeah.
watching that like I was. But knowing that the location was so good, I was always so frustrated that they weren't doing better because it's hard,
Yeah.
especially through Airbnb, to communicate just how good something is location wise until
Absolutely.
somebody's there and you can get some really positive reviews. Which
Yeah.
I know that was a huge focus at that time too when
Yeah.
first took over the properties. Um, was getting more occupancy and getting some really good reviews in um, that helped really paint the picture for what they were.
What are the other changes that you've noticed in terms of like attention to detail for customer service, maintenance, or cleaning?
Um, I think I think some of the things that I really recognized right off the bat was
Yeah.
how quickly, with Boost Rentals, the customer service team was jumping in and responding to people's concerns, and that's huge. I mean, if I'm staying at a place and I walk in the door and the cockroach runs across the road, the
Yeah.
entryway, they're gonna get a phone call or a text
Exactly.
or an email, and I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. That didn't happen, but I'm just saying, like, hypothetically. And
Yeah.
when somebody takes a day or half a day to respond, then
Yeah.
you're thinking about it when you could be thinking about what you're doing with your family on vacation or your friends or
Mhm.
whatever it is that why
Yeah.
you're staying in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And whereas I noticed right away with booth rentals, like within like I swear, like it was never more than an hour, and somebody always was just responding. Um,
Yeah.
and because as an owner on the back end, I could see that, and I didn't respond, but I was watching the conversations often,
Yeah.
and it built so much confidence in me as an owner to know that the management company was just on top of things. That was
Yeah.
huge.
Today we are seeing some economic pressure,
Sure.
but at least our approach is, we know what the market does because we research the market across Airbnb, Verbo, Vacasa is included in there somehow in terms of the data that we pull in, and
Yeah.
we can see that, but we can at least explain and articulate the fact that, there's 2,000 more listings in Nashville over the last 2.5 years than there were before that. And even this year, even though we're not doing quite as well as 2023, uh, across the board, we're maybe about 10% down. We're not 30 or 40% down. So it's a big difference in terms of being able to articulate and understand what's going on in the economy, and our occupancy is still there. It's not a total stop of bookings. So
Yeah. I think an important part of managing things, whether it's we've talked about this in other respects too, in other
yeah,
industries even, is it's not making excuses. It's not um, looking to pass the blame to somebody else. It's sitting down together and saying, okay, what is the issue here? How can we work together? Let's just overcome it.
exactly.
I feel like we've done that well the past couple of years. It's been huge.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of our success can be boiled down to that. Like okay,
100%.
let's look at this and figure out what the issues are and what can we do to attack it.
Exactly. And we've had to continue, like in the last slightly over a year and a half, it's like every 3 or 4 months, there's been something we've realized we need to change.
Yeah,
And we've
a lot of
tried to do
fine
that.
tuning.
So,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And there's still some going on today. I was looking at messages this morning. There's some things to correct today, and we're working on it. So, um, cool. Well, John, if there's anything else you wanted to say, feel free to do so. Otherwise, really appreciated the conversation, and we can close up sometime soon.
yeah.
Up to
I
you.
I guess that just to end, I cannot give Chris and Bruce Reynolds enough of my vote of confidence. I if I was buying properties anywhere in the nation, he'd be my first call, both
Thank you so
to
much.
um, both to just discuss the property, the potentials, um,
Yeah.
even somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
Um, and we've done that. Whether that's comes down to selling a property, which what happened with my property in Florida, it just wasn't
Yeah.
didn't make enough sense
Exactly.
to something new that I'm looking into. So
Yeah.
I have full confidence in you, and I it's been a treat to work together.
Awesome. Thanks. It's been a treat for me too. I appreciate it, John.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. All right. I'm going to end the recording.